Hey guys, we're live with Tourney Talk. Um, we are doing something new this year. This is actually the end of the year. We are going to go live. We're going to talk to some directors from around the Tourney X platform. We've got nearly, like 400 or so, maybe 500 directors, and I'd love to get everybody in. And I'm sure we're going to, work real hard to try to get those people in. But I wanted to do something different and reach out to our directors and just see how you see what makes them tick. What drives them. What makes them want to be the director of these events. And so tonight we have Shannon Modisette with us, and I am going to switch over now. I'm still learning this. We'd like for you guys to share this thing up. If you don't mind, let's get some people in, and I'm going to flip over here and try to bring her in, and we're going to get this show going. So bear with me just a sec. There she is.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Shannon? I'm sorry, I'm still learning these backgrounds and trying to bring you in, and so please forgive me. I know we've got a few people on, and I introduced you a little bit, but what I want to do, just so everyone knows, this is Shannon Modisette. She, I believe, is kind of. Are you from Louisiana to begin with, or Arkansas, or where?
Originally from Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that this, and we talked about this a little bit, about us having these directors on, and I wanted you to be the first one on our show. I wanted you to kind of break the ground and let's get this thing going. One of the reasons is you and I have become really good friends over the years, and you've always called me. You've always said, "Hey, are you busy?" And I grab the phone and pick it up, and I call you, and we sit and talk for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So, and we had a lot of good conversations over the past 5 years. And I wanted to bring you on. I wanted you to talk to the folks out there and just talk to them and let them know what drives you, where this whole thing came from. You've been with us for 5 years, roughly, I believe it is. You do have charity events. You do have some military charity events. You do these things for the military, and we really respect you for doing all that. And we wanted to bring you on and just tell us a little about yourself, please.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And it's hard to believe that it's been 5 years of hosting these tournaments. Literally, I mean, it's like the time has flown by so fast, and it's just kind of shocking to me that, we're going into our 6th year in 2022. And what's so funny about that is that I started Sucks and Cookies in August of 2017. Less than 30 days later, I had my first event with you.
Wow.
And that's like how fast it happened. And I remember at the time thinking, okay, this was kind of because I had a friend that had fished kayak bass fishing tournaments. And I was like, hey, what's this charity thing, and that y'all like these charity tournaments. And when I hosted that first one, never would have imagined that it would have turned in to what it has. And so I've loved every moment, and kind of how it came to be for me was, so yes, I grew up in Louisiana, a huge LSU gal, and I've lived in Northwest Arkansas now for going on almost 19 years. But growing up, I lived in a military town. My dad was in the National Guard, members from both my mom and dad's side of the family, both in the military. And growing up in a town where you just saw the flag flying everywhere, and there was always, you just always ran into the military. And I remember thinking, like, it just something special, and of that patriotism of how proud I was. So then, got to being an adult and, finding some nonprofits, military focused to give back, but still there was that burning like desire for me to do my own, even though it was scary, so scary to think about doing a nonprofit. And all of a sudden it was just kind of one of those things of where, I just said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Our deployed service members has always been my passion, and let's do this. Let's get them care packages sent out so they know they're not alone. Let me help educate people of what it actually means when they're deployed. And so that kind of was that whole gist of like, that was my goal in 2017, was just like, let's make a difference. Let's send some care packages and let's just see what happens. And as the years have gone on, and then like Kicking Bass for Troops like blew up, which for me, it hasn't blown up in reality, but when I look at the growth that we've had over 5 years and what my long-term goals are, I'm just, I'm blown away that I get to be a part of this.
Right. What's amazes me is that, so you were saying that your dad was in the National Guard, but that was it as far as military goes, right? In your family.
Yeah, like my dad was in the National Guard, and like I said, tons of aunts and uncles, friends, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always felt like that when our military walks amongst us, that they are forgotten and overlooked, even when they're at home. And then you send them thousands of miles away. And most people are just out of sight, out of mind. They're taken care of. And I knew like it's our responsibility. Like if we don't do it as civilians, if we don't say, hey, you know what, I get to go to Starbucks and get a coffee, or go to Chick-fil-A, one of my favorite places. There's a reason I get to do that. And I wanted other people to stand with me and let our military and all of our veterans know that everything that they've done, it's not in vain. That
right.
We respect that, honor that, and, we salute them.
Right. So let's go back a minute and talk about what brought you. So how long were you, like, let's say, so Socks and Cookies was your first charity, right? Is that, or a charity, right? So, yeah. Okay. So how long between the time you started that charity and the time you found Tourney X and said, hey, let's join these things together, or let's figure out how we make that happen? Was it instantly, or was it like, did you already have it?
30 days.
30 days.
Literally 30 days. Had a friend that fished tournaments here locally and had fished a charity tournament. And I said, hey, what is this charity tournament? And, I was lucky. I love fishing. My dad, I went, when I was born, my dad, kind of wanted a boy. So I kind of like football and fishing and all that. And so I was like, oh my God, I love to fish. Like, how much fun could this be to have one of these tournaments? And that's when I reached out to you, like, hey, like, how do I do this? Like, how do I make this happen? And freaking out, going, oh my God, I don't know how to judge a fish. I've only ever beat my dad at fishing.
Believe me, I remember the days. I do remember the days.
I mean, seriously. And but it was literally 30 days from when we had our nationwide tournament on, I think it was September 7th, I think was our first one. 7 people signed up. And I was just like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Wow.
And yeah.
Cool. So tell me what it's like, and you and I had discussed this. I'm gonna go ahead and let it out. Let's go with this. Tell me what it's like being a woman director. First of all, I'm very proud of you for doing what you're doing. Okay.
Thank you.
And the days you would call me, like I said, we would talk and we'd visit and we'd shoot the bull, and you would call me and say, oh my God, I'm pulling my hair out, or, whatever it might be, and there was just those days. And, when we would get finished talking, you always message me. You would shoot me this message after we talked and hung up. And you would either say, thank you so much for the talk. I got so much out of that, and it just motivates me to go even harder. But tell everyone about what it's like. And as you brought this up, you said this tournament director thing is kind of it's a man's area. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to be rude, but it's that way, and it has been. But you as a director, a woman director, how's it been for you? And what are some of those trials that you've been through? And I know some of them, but I want people to understand what it's all about.
I think, the one thing that I'll say about this community is that the relationships that I've made over the last 5 years, with you, and then like the anglers in the community, and like a lot of the trails, and how supportive, and 90% of people treat me just like a tournament director and a person that's running socks and cookies. Um, there are some people that it's probably unexpected for them to have a female, because that's not the way it is. And for me, like, how I deal with that is that it doesn't matter what gender, as long as I'm running a good tournament, that I'm competent, I know my business, and I surround myself with people that, if I don't have the answer, then I have people that do. And so I think that is one of the things, is getting people's respect, where they look at me and go, hey, we don't care if she's a gal or a guy, like, she's just kicking butt, and we're going to support her for that. And so that probably, to me, is the proudest thing, is for all the people that have taken me in as a female and been like, hey, just do what you do. And the people that haven't, of going, it's my thing of like, what? Eventually they'll see that I'm doing, that I'm doing what we're supposed to do, because
Right.
I'm very transparent with people. Like, I want them to know, and I'm going to treat you equally no matter who you are. And that's the only thing that I've ever asked, is that, just treat me equally, and, and give me a chance, give me a chance to kick ass and see how it goes.
Well, you're very passionate too. I remember the days that I remember one distinctly. We were fishing a tournament at our local lake, and we just got finished. We just got finished with our event, and I think we were settled down. We're fixing to have some hot dogs or hamburgers or something that afternoon. And I got a phone call from you, and you're like in this panic. You're like, and this is like the early days, and you're in this panic trying to figure out, what do I, this, I think it had to do something to do with, it was a fish submitted and it wasn't just right, or there was something wrong with it. And I can't remember exactly what the details were, but you're like, what should I do? And I said, well, if it's not the right fish, or it's not the right whatever, then you have to DQ it. And you're like, yeah, but I think that was one of the hardest things you ever had to do, is to DQ a fish, which would make that person either lose the tournament or whatever. And I believe that was probably one of the hardest things you ever, that's but you did. And I told you, I said, you may not like the decisions you have to make. The first year I ran Tourney X, a little back up a little bit. The first year you run, and we talked about this, first year I ran Tourney X, I judged 12,000 fish in a year. And there were days that I would get, fish pictures would come in, they'd be wrong, and I would have to DQ them, or I'd have to disqualify them, or whatever I had to do to them, or deduct them, or what have you. And it would cause people to move down or move up or whatever. And I hated it. But the fact is, you have to do that in order to make everybody understand that this is the way it works. It's kind of like, raising kids. When they do something wrong, you kind of have to, do what you got to do, whether you like it or not. But eventually what happens is that they grow to understand how the system works, how you, the director, expect the fish to come in, whether you have rules and regs that you go by. So, but that day you called me, you're like,
I remember, and I can be honest and say, to this day, still one of the hardest things for me is DQing a fish. I mean, all the guys in my group will tell you that literally when something happens, I just go, oh my God, guys, I don't want to do this, because it's so hard because, but I also know, and the one thing that I like every year, I think of going, hey, you know what? My rule, like I'm abiding by my rules, I'm being consistent, and I'll never forget you telling me that from the very beginning. Shannon, consistency in these tournaments are key. If you let one person do it, no matter how nice you want to be, and that's the one thing that's always stuck with me. So even when I'm having to make that heart-wrenching decision of, it's it's something that I've learned. But yeah, I mean, I still remember, I mean, it devastated me to have to, to deny somebody's fish. So yeah.
Yep. Yep. So that leads me to another question. So now these days you have new directors coming on board. I know you see a lot of the new people coming in.
Mhm.
And what kind of advice would you give them starting out as a new director?
First would be, don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, don't, really utilize, like one of my favorite things, is like that the Tourney X, the tournament director group. And like everybody in there is so willing to jump in and help to answer questions about, the rules, or like, was the fish in the wrong location? And that would be my thing, is really utilize your support of tournament directors around you, because they're going to step in and help, because all of us have been in the same place. Like some of the questions that I see popping up of some of the tournament directors, that was me 5 years ago. That's still me. I still have those questions every season where, I'm like, hey, has somebody been through this situation? So it's really getting that group of support around you. And then too, like when you set up events, make sure, don't do what I did and make these weird changes before before the event, or while the event is live, and cause major issues of fish like I did this year.
Remember that
But
phone
yeah.
call too.
Oh yeah, I mean, and so that would be my thing, is just really don't be afraid to ask questions, get in with everybody, and because this community, we watch out for each other to make sure that you have what you need to be able to host your events.
So give us some numbers. Do you have those numbers available of things that I saw this load of stuff that you shipped out not too long ago. I mean, I was like
Yeah,
blown away. Talk to us about it.
yeah. So this was the biggest year that we've ever had for, so Christmas is one of my favorite seasons personally. And when it comes to military care packages, especially when it's Christmas time, like I want to make sure we send out the most at that time of year, to make sure, that we send Christmas cards and crafts and just a ton of stuff, so that when they open those, they know that we're thinking about them at home. So 2020 was, we had growth last year with care packages. We sent like 115 during Christmas. This year we ended up mailing out 174
Wow.
for Christmas. And a lot of those funds, came from, those tournaments that we had this year. And and letting people know that, like, hey, when you fish our tournament, you're helping send a care package to deployed service member. And so I got really emotional with the amount of packages that we did, because I thought, you know, just, it was that thing of, what, the 174 people at least. And then normally for every care package, you have 3 to 4 people that are touching that box. And so when you start looking at that, and what of a difference that it is, and with the cards and everything. So biggest Christmas that we've ever had. And it all goes back to like the fundraisers. And because I've noticed, not only do all the anglers that fish my tournaments support us through Kicking Bass for Troops, a lot of them support us outside of that, on just the socks and cookies side. And so it's been fun to watch a lot of the anglers, that they signed on just to fish a tournament, but then now they support us as an organization too. And that's something that it blows me away sometimes, because, it just has made me realize like that the fishing community, which I always knew this growing up with my dad and hearing how he talked, but just, how many veterans that we have, how many active duty, anglers, how many first responders that we have fishing all these tournaments, and, that they have chosen to support Socks and Cookies just means everything to me.
Okay. And I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of that part. I want to know, how do you get the names of these service people? How do you, I got a couple of questions about that, because I think that anglers and all the people that are helping you to help them, it'd be cool for them to know. So how do you get in touch with the anglers, or the military?
Yeah, so a lot of that actually stemmed from, so in 2018, we held our very first two statewide tournaments. Oklahoma and Georgia were the very first two state tournaments that we did. And we adopted deployed units in those states. So literally it was me Googling to see who was deployed, which units were deployed from that state, reaching out to family readiness leaders. And then as we've grown and literally, reaching out across the branch, whoever their family contacts are, like their family readiness leader contacts for their units, reaching out to them and saying, hey, we have this many boxes. Do you have a unit deployed? I've found units on Instagram, of, all these military pages, and they'll post and I'll message them like, hey, can I have a contact, to do that? And then some of the family readiness leaders that we work with, then they disperse our information out to like their military families, so that when their spouse or their, son, daughter, when they deploy, they can come directly to our website and request a care package for them then. And the one thing that I always let people know is I'm the only one that ever sees the addresses, so people can feel secure in knowing that they're giving us, these secure addresses. So I'm the only one that ever touches that piece.
Cool. So packaging the boxes, what's in them? Do you do all that work? Those kinds of things.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So our tagline for Socks and Cookies is honor the need, respect the want. The need being the socks, the want being the cookies. And kind of how the name came to be is whenever I started Googling about starting it, Socks and Cookies kept coming up over and over again simultaneously. And somebody made like a flippant comment to me like, hey, you should just name it Socks and Cookies. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Well, then like it would not let me alone. And so kind of the cornerstones of our packages are Socks and Cookies, but then we do protein bars, jerky, which obviously is huge. And I mean, people love the jerky, cracker snacks, hygiene kits, tuna packets, tuna kits, anything like that. And then, so we load all that in there. And normally when it's like one-off request, I do them myself. But if we have a unit that comes in, then I normally bring in some people to help like pack out goodie bags and pack boxes.
Okay, so you go out and purchase all this yourself, or wow, that's cool. That's cool. I had a question, I just lost it. So, now what it is. So I know you do this out of respect to them, and you don't ask for anything in return, I'm sure. But what do you get things in return? Do they let you know that they've got them? Do they write back things like that? That'd be kind of cool to know.
Yeah, so we do. We do get some letters and some pictures. However, my thing has always been, in which I like really talk about this when it comes to fundraisers, is that when the boxes leave my office, we know that we may never get like that letter or card.
Right.
And that, to me, that is, for me, I totally understand it, because a
Mhm.
lot of people don't understand that where we're sending these boxes, people aren't just, playing on their cell phones or, taking selfies with their boxes. And it's like educating people to realize, like, my thank you for the boxes is knowing that I'm free. I'm free here at home. They're all
Yeah,
fighting these
I
battles,
understand.
wars for us. And so, but when we do get the letters and the cards and the pictures, like, it just brightens our day. And I always share those with everybody. And sometimes it's like a family member that lets us know too. Like, a lady about a month ago, her husband had gotten his boxes, and so she told us, like, thank you on behalf of him and his guys. But yeah, so for me, it's just, when they walk out, I just hope that when they get them, it just makes a difference.
Oh,
That
I'm sure it
they,
is.
it's a morale booster for them.
Right. Where do you think this thing's going to go? Do you think it's, you know?
So my goal, so I have two different goals when it comes to socks and cookies. My goal is, um, to evolve how we need to, depending on mission and when it comes to units being deployed, and how we can support like our active side versus like our guard and reserve. Like, how can we serve them better? So really starting to try to build those relationships with military counterparts to find out like how we can support them. Is it always better to support them while they're deployed or when they're stateside, depending on if they're active or guard? Kicking bass for troops. Man, so my goal is to have a tournament in all 50 states. And my goal with that is to literally a tournament in all 50 states every year, and then to have enough money to where we can literally go into every state and make a difference at that military, whether they're deployed or they're stateside. Because my original goal for starting Kick and Bass for Troops is that so that units could use the money for their family day celebrations, welcome home events, deployment events. And I want, the bigger that Kick and Bass for Troops grows, the more we'll get to do of that.
Well, you might actually meet your goals. Who knows? I mean, if you're growing, and that's a positive thing. So I'm trying to think. So how many tournaments? Now you run multiple tournaments. You don't just do one and that's it. You have a series, I believe.
Yeah, literally. So in 2021, we ran 16 tournaments. And so I had 12, and excuse my numbers, it's not, so we did a couple of new ones this year, which I had a complete blast with. The first one was, we did a birthday tournament on August 3rd, which is Socks and Cookies birthday, and it was like a midweek shootout. And it was, it blew up. I mean, it blew up on us. We had over 50 anglers for that event, which was the biggest we'd ever had. And so I
Wow.
was, doing like sprints and stuff down my hallway because I was so excited. And then we added on our Basstober Thriller this year, which was the weekend before Halloween, and that one blew up. I mean, it was crazy. We had, I think, 56 anglers that signed up for that one. And then this year we did September, with it being the 20th anniversary. We had 4 tournaments the weekend of September 11th, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, and our nationwide event. And just of what that event meant. And I had like different like first responders and military that did videos about like what 9/11 really meant to them. So yeah, so this year was our biggest year ever when it came to our tournaments, and we released our 2022 schedule last week, and we've got some border battles and regional tournaments coming up for 2022.
So, like when someone pays a $30 entry fee, $40 entry fee, whatever it is, what part goes towards the charities and what part goes back? Because I know you do payouts too, I believe, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so we keep it bare minimum of what. So in 2021 we did not have a major a monetary sponsor, and so unfortunately or I shouldn't say unfortunately, but we did a bigger payout because we didn't have the cash prizes to buy product like we did in 2020. However, we kept 35% from each event and paid out 65%. And then we had some amazing prize sponsors this year that signed on, some veteran companies. We had some first time sponsors, and then we had several like 30-year sponsors come back. So, that blows me away. Like every time a sponsor says, "Hey, I'm coming back for another year," it just, it makes me so happy to, that they not only do they believe in us, but like
Right.
when I can show that to like our military and say, hey, this is a company that is standing behind you, they're supporting us,
Mhm.
so we can support you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just think it's going to keep growing and growing. I really do. And, a lot of guys, when you sign up for these tournaments, just know that going into it, you're helping somebody else. It's not just for your payouts. It's for helping somebody else, and, Shannon puts forth so much effort. You might have to you might just get a bunch of volunteers to start helping you out on that end.
Actually, so the one thing I haven't called out is, and this, but I have an amazing group of guys that literally have become, not only good friends to me, but just everything that they've done for Kick and Bass for Troops. I have 7 guys in my group that literally have just been my rock and sounding board. And, they, and I know that they were responsible for helping a lot of 2021 happen because, they're all anglers. And so, they have their own fishing careers that I love watching them do everything that they're doing, and they're all across the country, so they
Mm.
get to tell me like what's going on. And so they all know how much I appreciate them because I tell them like all the time, like, y'all are all, and all of them are all coming back for 2022. And then I do have a new volunteer that actually he's going to be helping me with 2022, like a lot of the captain meetings. And he just retired from the Marine Corps 2 weeks ago, and he's going to be helping me a lot with sponsorships and captains meetings and all that. So, but yeah, I'm the same way. Like I want it to get so big to where we have to have people to help, help do that part of it.
Right. Right. So, I know Josh Deal. I'll throw that name out because I know Josh is one of your huge supporters on your side. He helps out anytime you have questions. He's always there. He's been a good friend of mine. Whenever I have things just to discuss, what have you, he's got great opinions and great. He's a great resource himself. Um, how can people get in touch with you? I mean, we want to push. We want to try to push this year to break another record for you. In other words, we'd love to do 250 boxes for Christmas next year. We'd like to
Mm-hmm.
double that if we can, and I want to help through Tourney X however we can. I think the numbers that we have, we just got to get the word out and try to get that and grow. So how can they get in touch with you, Shannon?
So they can get in touch. So we have, so for Kick and Bass for Troops, we have an awesome group on Facebook, that people can join the group, and we post all things fishing and fun and about our tournaments. And, anglers can come in and post like their own like YouTube like videos that they're doing to their fishing journey. On Instagram, you can find us at Kick and Bass for Troops and at Socks and Cookies, our Facebook page. And then our website is socksandcookies.org. And then my email is Shannon at socksandcookies.org. And I always tell people all the time, like, hey, text me, call me, anything if you want to learn more about what we do. Um, because I just, I want everybody, I've always said when it comes to these tournaments, Obviously my most important thing is raising money, for our military. But secondly, and just as, secondly and importantly too, is I want people to know that we put on a good tournament, that they can trust us to do the right thing, and that they can walk away knowing like not only did they support the military, but they had a chance to win a cool prize. And so we're always working on how we can get those bigger and better prizes to be able to compete with some of the other groups that are hosting the tournaments, because and that's something we're working hard at is and luckily I've got that good supporter group around me, like, hey, and I ask even our anglers all the time, like, hey, if there's a sponsor you think would be a good fit, and for our mission, like, let me know. Like, we want to reach out to them and, and see about getting them on board.
Wasn't there one that you and I discussed one night that you did you call them or they called you? Or I can't remember who it was exactly, but there was one you told me about that you were just blown away that they wanted to help you guys. I can't remember who it was.
Yes. And so that happened this year with Nokia.
That's right.
Yes. And the cool thing about that story is that one of their pro staff anglers, Rachel Walker, she's a New Jersey angler and just killing it out there. And she found us and, fished a couple of our tournaments this year, and us being able to support her journey too. And, everything that she's doing as a female angler, and then Nokia being her sponsor. But yeah, so this year, like I said, it was awesome. Being able to have all the sponsors that we had, of knowing, because a lot of them, I was late getting out sponsorship requests, for 2021, and then it was like, oh my God, because, I go straight from Christmas into fishing, and so
Yeah.
it was like that blurred line there. But yeah, I'm just so incredibly thankful to everybody that signed up this year for us as anglers, because we got a lot of new anglers this year. And that was the coolest thing about, is all the new people that found out about us. And, we just let people know, like, hey, like, tell us where you think that we haven't done that great, because I love constructive criticism. Like, I want you to tell me. And, so I always tell people, like, hey, like, or if you have ideas, like, let us know so that we can continue to grow and do it in the right way.
Right. Well, we always need support. I mean, no matter what it is. I mean, on our end, your end, I get my support from the anglers and, of course, the directors. They're always letting me know, hey, we need to do this, or this, or can we do this, and this? And we try to put that together and put it into motion. We listen. We listen to what you guys want, and likewise, we hope we can give that back, and in ways that help you guys out as well to try to grow your side. And but I'm so proud of you for what you do and what you're doing. And anyway, just it makes me happy to see where you've come from to now. It's cool.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you've been, I mean, literally, I remember in the very beginning of having that conversation, we were complete strangers with each other. And I just remember calling you, and all of a sudden it was like I felt like I had a new friend, and you calmed me down, because it was so exhilarating for me, but so scary. And so I appreciate the partnership and the friendship that you've given me for 5 years, because I always know that if I need you, that I can call you to ask you a question. Or the times that it had nothing to do with tournaments, it was just talking through the business and how it's looking and things we can do. And so it just, it's really meant a lot just to have that support and know that you're, for all of our groups that are in Tourney X, and there's so many incredible organizations that host tournaments, in that everybody's doing it for the reason that they want. And you're pushing all of us. You're wanting all of us to do good, not just for you, but you're wanting us to succeed too. So I really appreciate that.
So Bubba Holt wanted to know, what was your email address again? Hey, Bubba, you still on here?
Hey, Bubba, it is Shannon at socksandcookies.org.
Bubba is Healing Waters, Project Healing Waters, Project Healing Waters. He's kind of the lead guy over there. He and his wife Sarah. So they might be getting in touch with you some things, and they're some
I'd
good
love
people
that.
from up in West Virginia. So
I'd love that.
yep, he's there. So I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the comments. I got off track. Well, we've been on for about 35, 40 minutes, and I am, like I said, I'm so proud that you were able to come on tonight and talk to this crowd. This thing will be saved over at YouTube. If we want to share it up, we can always reshare it, and people can come in and watch and listen to your story, and hopefully it'll inspire some people to take the bull by the horns and go another direction with it, and because you did. I mean, just it's like out of the blue, you weren't even in the military, but you felt led to do this, and I think that's just an awesome thing that you're doing. It's crazy. So
well, I tell people all the time, it's an incredible. Like, I love getting to do this. Like, I literally find it, like, I'm amazed that I get to be a part of it. Like, that I get to build relationships with, my military counterparts and get to let them know how much they mean to us. Like, that to me is, it's just something that can't ever be, replaced. And whenever I'm talking to a potential sponsor, or I'm talking to somebody on the street, it's trying to let them know the same thing, is like, when you look around you and the things that you have and the freedom that you have, just hopefully that sometimes you sit there and think about why you get to do that.
right.
And yeah, so yeah, I love it all. And yeah, I'm, like I said, I'm lucky that I get to work with, like I said, kicking bass for troops. I mean, it's been a blast getting to meet everybody that I have.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good, great story. And with that, we're gonna cut out of here. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming on and visiting with us and getting to know you a little bit better. Absolutely.
Hey,
We'll do it again.
I'm very honored to be your first guest, and I cannot wait to watch all the other episodes and learn more about all the other TDs, like all their stories too. And I think it's going to be an awesome thing bringing our community together even more.
Yeah, I think this whole idea was kind of like hey, and it wasn't really it was really just I wanted to pull the directors on because they don't really get to showcase what they do and who they are and what they go through from a day-to-day basis. They build the tournaments, they have to judge the events, or they find judges, or they find sponsors, or they just got all these moving parts. And I wanted to be able to bring that to the world and let people understand it's not just fishing, it's the organization side that it's tough. It's a tough world. And these directors do it, and most do it with no pay. They just do it because they love it. And sometimes they don't get a chance to fish either,
Yeah.
So now, do you fish, by the way? I mean, are you fishing? Do you have a kayak and do you fish?
Well, so I love fishing. I have a really crappy kayak that is not meant for fishing. It's just an entertainment only. However, I'm planning on, in the spring, I have my eye on one, and I'm planning.
Which one do you have your eye on? Talk to me.
So one of the ones, well, there's like 3 different ones that I really like. I do want a pedal kayak, and I've been to Tulsa because I'm only 2 hours away from Tulsa. And so I've been to Tulsa kayak a few times, like checking them all out. And because my goal this year for 2022 is I want to fish one of my own tournaments, and have somebody else judging for that tournament, but I want to fish one of my own because it's kind of like that full circle moment of actually being able to fish, a kick and bass for troops tournament. And yeah, so love bass fishing. That's what my dad and I always did in Louisiana and Texas. And, I just love to go out there and, like I said, I've never fished from a kayak before. except for a little bit of fun. I did it a few summers ago. So, but yeah, I've got my eye on a couple of those kayaks to see which one is going to be the winner.
Well, so you didn't give us a name, did you?
I didn't, because it's like 3 different brands of 3 different kayaks.
Come on, I want to hear. I want to hear. Oh.
Okay, so one of my good friends, when I first, like, this whole started, he had a Jackson kayak, which I loved. It was a pedal kayak, and I loved it. I loved every, like my side, everything about it. I loved it. And then I love Hobie, of course. I mean, I love Hobie, because when I go to the lakes around here and I see all the Hobies, love those. So those are kind of where, like, the 2 that I really look at, but then I'm always out there Googling and finding other ones and taking pictures and saving them for myself. And so it's,
go ahead. Sorry.
It's funny because, like, when I ask for people's opinion, because of course, like, you have all people that are all Hobie or all Jackson or all, whatever. So it's kind of interesting, so I don't know which one I'm going to end up with.
So what do you have a trailer? Do you have an SUV? What do you have? What would you carry it on?
SUV, and it's going to have to be on the top.
Okay. Well, just remember, Hobies are heavy.
Yeah.
So, unless you go to the links and get the lightweight version where you can, or something lighter weight. So,
well, and I'm thinking about getting, I've been looking at trailers too. And so that's kind of like, I've literally been doing all this kind of stuff and looking at it, because I just don't know. Like, I haven't set in any of those yet, the ones that I like. And my goal is to go over probably in like early February and just go check it out and see which one I walk away with.
Well, find someone that has one you can test. Just always test. That's the main key, is get in one, try it out, see what you like. I mean, you can't go wrong with either the ones you just recommend, that you mentioned. But you never know. Maybe somebody on here will hop on and give you some advice and maybe point you in the right direction. But you say you're a couple hours from Tulsa area, so. But there's some Arkansas dealers up there, right? There's people in Arkansas that's dealers, right?
There are, yeah. The one thing I've noticed is that I, like the times that I've been to the shops in Oklahoma, always had such great experience. Like customer service and how they are. So, I haven't really checked the one out here yet, but I plan on doing it. And, like I said, when I start looking at all the brands and for what I want to do, I kind of get lost, because, like in all the guys too, I'm always seeing all their pictures posted. I'm like, oh, I like that one. I like that one, so then it makes me, I want to ask all these questions to make sure, because the first one I get, I want it to be one that I'm going to have for a while.
Just remember what I told you 5 years ago. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Yes.
Okay. And, test them out, figure out what you like to have, but keep it simple. Don't overdo it. Don't let others depict what you do, if that makes sense, because you can get very confused and, oh, I want this, and this, you know what I'm saying? And you can get way too much and get way too, it can just make you scatterbrained. So just keep it simple for the beginnings, kayak only, couple of rods and reels, you know what I'm saying? Get your box to put your baits in, whatever, and then go fishing, and then build from there.
And that's the one thing I will say is, like, with my dad, like, I was always a very simple, like, when I fished, it was 2 rods, 2 rod and reels, very simple, like small little tackle box. Didn't like a lot of special stuff, because I just did what I was comfortable with. And so that's why I'm anxious to see, like, how it's going to be when I, like, the whole kayak thing, to see, because I know it's going to be exciting. And like when I start, because, I follow so many of, these guys that build, or that they do make their own baits and all this. So I get excited when I start looking at all that, just to to see what it's going to look like. But yeah, I'm hoping to fish one of my own tournaments next summer and, have a competition, like maybe have like a fundraiser out of that for how many ever inches of fish, to see about people,
You should.
donating money.
That's right. You should fish your own events. It's just to get out. Do you think you'll ever have a live event? I know that you do mostly
Yes.
nationwide events, but do you think you'll ever have a live event where you can pull people into one location?
Man, I want to so bad. I mean, literally, I live 20 minutes away from Beaver Lake in Northwest Arkansas. And I've had people ask me about doing one there or doing one down in Central Arkansas. And I would love to do that. I think it's more of just having the help on the front side to plan something like that,
Right.
to get people that, can kind of help me organize that. I've fished on Grand Lake, not out of a kayak before, but I fished there quite a few times and even thought about like how cool it would be to have a live event at Grand. So yeah, that's definitely on my radar because I would love for people to be able to, whether it's North Carolina or Mississippi, to be able to go to that one specific lake and, be able to fish for socks and cookies.
Right.
And that it's just trying the manpower right now is probably if I could, have that like socks and cookies representative in the states to kind of help guide that. But yeah, live event to me would be the ultimate thing.
You should try it. You need to get a small group of guys together, gals, whatever, and guys or gals together and decide, hey, where can we do it at? We get some volunteers together and say, hey, let's do this. Let's get the word out. But you want to prepare early so everybody knows it's coming and you can kind of watch and see how the signups go. But I think you should try that out this year. But
seriously, I'm thinking about it. It was kind of cool when I was, because growing up in Louisiana, like I have so many amazing lakes around there. And I've even thought like, hey, maybe my first live event, being in my hometown in Shreveport, and, because I have some friends around there that could probably help drive some of that for me.
Right.
And, yeah, it's something I want to do because I can't think of how much fun it would be for me to actually get to meet the anglers in person and, to have that conversation, before lines in that morning. So I think that would be pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is. And I've been to many live events and it's a lot of fun. It really is. Because the whole, coming together after the event, do the award ceremony, all that stuff, and then you can really show, hey, this is what we've raised today, what have you. So I think it'd be a great concept. So,
well, and to your point, I would love to where eventually that like our classic champions event would be a live event. That all of our online event, like the winners from our statewide, that we would converge, to have a socks and cookies, because I love watching all the different trails and like their championship event. Like that's so exciting to me. Watching
now you have a goal. You have a goal. There you go.
So that's it.
Well, Shannon, we appreciate you being on tonight. Really do. We'll do it again sometime, and we'll keep an eye on what you got going on with your series this year, and keep pumping out the pictures and let us know what's going on with you. Okay.
I will. Hey, I appreciate it as always. We knew we could easily talk for an hour, so.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off here with her while she's still online. I want to let everybody know because I'm just still learning this whole technology thing, but and I have an app, which I don't know how that works. But anyway, just to let everyone know that last night we released the Android and the iPhone apps to both their respective groups. Luck has it the Apple actually was released early, and I went ahead and released it. So the new 1.7 version is available on the Apple Store, So go out and grab it. You'll see some of the new features that we've added. Android's got a little bit of hiccup, and we're trying to work those bugs out. It's at the Android Google Play Store, whatever, but we've got a couple of hiccups. We're trying to get those worked out, and we'll get that thing out as soon as we can. So we thought the bugs were good, but they're not. So 2022 is coming fast. End of 21, here we go. We're out with one and in with the news. So appreciate everybody. I'm not sure whether we'll get another one of these in next week or not. We may wait till the first of the year and start up fresh with the first of the year. And but just want to let everybody know that Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a happy New Year and be safe in your travels. And we'll see you guys on the next venture. So everybody take care. We're gone.
Bye, Dwayne.
Bye-bye.